everybody. I'm Kurt Weitzel, and I want to welcome you to the coolest and most informative podcast in Westfield, Indiana. What's Up Westfield? What's Up Westfield's a local chat fest to dig deep into politics, development, who's doing what, and anything else we can fit into 45 minutes of fun behind a microphone. If you have topics or an interest in being an amazing guest, please reach out to us, and we'd love to hear your ideas. So, today, before I introduce who we are, we're at Shaded Downs, and with my mystery guests, I'd like to get a couple of, let's use some words to talk about where we're at right now. Big words, little words.
Kurt's house.
Country estate.
Okay.
Long hidden drive.
Yeah.
What would you think? You see countryside?
Yeah, sure. Swamp.
Swamp. No, but we have the pump.
Lakeside.
We have the pump. We have the pump with lakes. Swamp without the white pipe running through the drive or the yard. So never mind about that. All right. So today is our first podcast, and we don't know what we're really doing. We're just figuring out. So there's going to be some weird noises. There's just going to be some weird stuff. So we apologize early. Like right now, Pat is reaching over to my microphone and adjusting it for me.
Back it up.
Yeah, it was a little loud.
I'm kind of an in-your-face guy, right, with that? No? I'm not at all. But all right, so we got two guests. So the goal of this is to have some fun about Westfield stuff, but learn a lot. And so I want to have some really interesting guests. I want to have people that have an opinion, that people that will talk about stuff that know what's going on or not know what's going on, and we just sort of ramble on about what's up Westfield. And so I thought, after hearing this idea, I've got two of the most perfect guests for the first podcast. Other than their looks, like this could be obviously a modeling shoot.
Yeah, we're definitely radio people.
We all have radio faces for sure. But I think this is like the ultimate. To me, it's almost polar opposites in a way, but in a sense, we're all kind of the same people. So, what? Yeah,
I'll stick with polar opposites.
Listen, if it's based on looks, yes. So I thought this is like the perfect sense of what What's Up Westfield is supposed to be. It's in the know people that have some experience, they want to talk about it, and that's what we're going to do. So to get there,
should we preface by saying if you're easily offended to shut it off now?
If you're offended by anything, I mean, we've already figured out the words we can't use. What would be offensive?
I don't know, but I'm just saying, people are easily offended. We're probably going to hurt somebody's feelings.
You got to have thick skin. So if you're listening to this, understand, we're having a good time. We would gladly poke fun at ourselves.
Yeah, it's happy hour. It's a 2-drink minimum, right?
2-drink minimum.
Yes, full disclosure, this is a 2-drink minimum.
I was late, so I'm catching up.
Oh, he'll get there. We're a 2-drink minimum happy hour event. I mean, it's loose.
But this is for anybody for Westfield, right?
Yeah, for Westfield.
Soccer moms,
yeah,
politicians,
business owners,
good old boys.
Yep.
I mean, that's that's
Westfield,
a good old boy.
Old school Westfield.
Local boys.
Local, that's right. It's a local boy.
Listen, that's not my nickname.
Well, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Just a local boy. Yeah, we're going to talk about stuff. Your name may get mentioned. So we may bring something up that's uncomfortable. We may talk about somebody, but we're just having fun, and we kind of love everybody, but it's all cracking jokes.
Send us an email. We'll be sure to delete it.
Right to spam. By the way, the first guest, who I'll introduce here in a second, is in charge of all emails and communications. So if you are expecting a response, you'll never get one. His sister.
He'll call you though.
He'll call.
I will call. He has time to text.
He'll call you on the drive home. All right. So the first guest, I'd like to introduce Chad Huff, the owner of CSI Signs, a lifelong resident and frostquake expert in his free time. Chad was raised on the streets of Westfield and brings to the mic a deep love of Westfield as well as a strong commitment to helping create a responsibly driven new city to work and play. Welcome, Chad.
Thank you. Who typed that out?
I did. I'm also the copy editor.
A whole lot of bullshit in that.
What's wrong with that?
That's all right. We'll take it.
What's wrong with it?
Nothing. It's fine. Let's roll.
You're right. It's KSI.
Well, Kristen runs the show. Yeah.
What's wrong with this? You weren't raised here.
No, I was.
You were raised on the streets.
I mean,
You might have been on a dirt
spent a lot
bike,
of time on the streets.
but the yeah, I guess it's not a deep love. It's a
It just seemed.
romantic.
It seemed like something you'd hear at a political function in Westfield.
That's
Introducing
what this is.
Yeah.
No, it's not that.
Here to represent the Democratic Party, Chad Huff.
You just lost
Everyone.
The only 3 people listening to this podcast.
That's
They're
us.
like, shut it down. Shut it down.
All right. So Chad Huff, also known as Huffy, is our longtime local boy. He loves this place. He knows everybody. Everybody knows him. Whether they have good memories with him or bad, they all know who he is. So he's fun. I like him as like the old school guy that's around. He's not a dorky preservationist, but he appreciates the history, and so we like him for that. So the next guest, the second guest of our very first podcast of What's Up Westfield, I want to introduce you to Pat Chittenden, who's a resident of Westfield, owner of the newly formed Patch Development, and failed retiree. Pat, is that true? That's true, right?
That's true.
Yeah, you thought you were retired.
Yeah. That didn't last long.
Taking it slow this summer, huh?
Yeah, right.
Pat recently started his development company with a focus on bringing the best new tenants and projects into our fast-paced market. But as a resident, wants to do something special to be proud of in the community. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you.
Why don't you guys clap for
Why don't
each
you have
other?
like a soundboard with just that sound effect?
Well,
Yeah.
that'll come in later. We're going to edit this thing.
Okay. That'll work.
It'll have like a fart machine. You know. So were you happy with your introduction, Pat?
Yeah, that's good.
What was wrong about yours? I mean, since
Listen, I just
No, I'm
I
good.
complain a lot. It's all right.
again, polar opposites. Huffy upset about how things are going.
Yeah.
Pat's just fine with whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty good.
Look, there's enough fakeness rolling around that we don't need to have more of it in an introduction. So we just call it how it is.
So I told Pat his persona on this was gonna be the mean new developer, and he looked at me like.
He doesn't want to be that
Yeah,
guy.
so he's the mean new greedy developer, and
Right.
you're the old farmer, hilljack local boy. Let's see what happens, right?
Right?
But that's what I love about Huffy. He's like, let's change this. New development is not a bad word in your world, right?
No, as long as it's done with I don't know what the word is, but like with respect to old Westfield, right? You're never going to stop change.
No.
I mean, people are going to try. It's probably a bad idea if they do. But you can hope to direct and guide it in a positive way. And so I'm all for new development and stuff like that, as long as it's done responsibly and planned out and well thought out. I don't like throwing darts at a map and being like, oh sure, go here, let's put this there. Should we say comprehensive plan?
No, we're not there yet.
Okay.
Go on, darts.
How do we retract?
Darts.
that?
No, we don't. Nothing to retract. No, you're true though. That's what I like. That's what we all like about you, Huffy. Is you've got an opinion.
Oh yeah, I don't pull any punches.
And you know what you're talking about. Let me ask you a question. So I moved here in 2008, 2007, 2006, like 2005 maybe.
Yep.
And in 2005, Westfield had already gone through a big growth spurt.
Yep.
At one point, kind of a housing boom.
Right.
I lived in a neighborhood that was out in the middle of a cornfield. There's 300 houses.
Don't mind the vehicle. We're not getting run
Thanks,
over.
That's that's a Camaro, guys. We're if you see the video, we're on the back porch of Shaded Down. This is the veranda. We check in here on the country estate. So,
Yeah.
So
We got-
there was
we got banana trees.
there was a housing boom in 2005.
well, before that, like probably 10 years before that, actually. But when we moved here, we bought in a place that was part of that housing boom, that sprawl, because it was cheap land.
2001, in my opinion, was probably the first big housing boom in Westfield. outside of like.
Because of like certain neighborhoods. Or
Yeah,
what?
so that's when you saw a lot of the track builders coming into
Just
town.
cheap ground.
Yeah.
Good
Back then it would
schools.
have been like Crossman communities, which
That's
got
right,
bought
yeah.
out by Beezer, and Pulte started moving
That's
in.
where we lived in a
Do you know? Huffy? Do you know numbers like how many people was it in the population when you were growing up versus now?
No.
Because now it's 42,000 is about what it is now.
I
I've been
would
told.
say. I'll get this number wrong. We need somebody to fact check while we do this. Do you have got your computer pulled up?
No, we don't.
Okay, so we're just gonna make stuff up.
Yeah.
I will say that I graduated high school in 2000 and
The first or second time?
the only time.
Okay.
I barely made it.
Graduate's a loose term. But
Yeah.
Go ahead.
They wanted me out. So I would say we were probably 8,000 to 10,000.
Oh.
Something
Really?
like that. 8,000.
And where?
We were still.
Kurt, am I right? 42,000 about right
Yeah,
now.
we're like at 40,000.
And projected to get to 60 to 70
Yeah.
in the next.
And
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
the other thing that gets confusing too, because I hear a lot of people say like township population and then like city population, and so
We really just count the Republicans. But it is.
because no one else matters.
There is nobody else. So you just pick the voters. You go to the GOP tracks our population, actually, in Westfield.
I've already got 4 emails, guys.
How many have you deleted?
6.
But seriously, so I bet by the time, I mean, we're all in our 30s.
Are you? You still in your
No,
30s?
Kurt's
So we're in our 30s, guys, and I bet in our lifetime we see it get to 100,000, though, right?
No, guaranteed.
Should be cool.
I mean,
Fastest growing
so
community in the state, right? I think is what's going on here. in
So I'll
Westfield.
pause you there when you say that would be cool. Now, it'd be cool if it was done right. If it's not done right, it's not going to be cool. It's going to be a shit show. So there's where me and you differ. is
Well, I want it to be cool, yeah.
if the development stuff's not done correctly. it's
I
gonna
think
be
at this point, though, like, we have so this is a good example. That growth that you experience early on in the early 2000s was a lot of it was irresponsible. It wasn't coordinated. It was sloppy. It was cheap housing. And so I don't think we see that again. I don't think any community allows that kind of slop to happen again. And I benefited from that. I loved that I could buy a cheap house when I moved here. I would have never moved here if there wasn't cheap housing, but we won't see that again. And so I think I would like it to get to 100. I don't think it has to go through, and tell me if I'm wrong, through the phase of just greedy developments that are cheap and just thrown together over, just to be done.
Are you
with
talking
it.
about housing then?
Typically house, or like where, like 32 and Cary. I bet that wouldn't pass today, how it stands, where like Kroger is. Today it probably wouldn't pass. Not because it's bad, it's just we have different sign standards, we want different facades, we have just a different level of development. And I bet today, even in a bad time, we wouldn't allow even that level of stuff to come. Do you think I'm wrong?
I don't know. I don't know that that's a bad development.
It's not.
But
Sorry.
jeez.
Huffy.
Hey, listen.
Huffy
it's drink number 2 time, guys.
He had big hoffas.
Yeah, right?
He's piecing out.
Mm.
Well, I'll talk.
Where's
a
the
little
drinks? Oh, I got to make another one?
bit. Oh, wow.
Who said 3 drink minimum?
Yeah, my ice is gone.
What are we making?
Wait, over here, guest number 3. His name is Pat Chittenden. Oh, yeah, you can't touch the table. So, Pat, tell Huffy's going to go back to the bar. He's the bartender on this one. What do you mean by that? What were you going to say about?
So there's from what I've seen, there's a ton of rooftops coming west of the Monon, right?
Yeah.
North of 186th Street, west of the Monon. There's a lot of production type neighborhoods coming, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think you need that.
You got to have housing.
This municipality, Westfield, needs a lot of things, right? We're growing, so we need rooftops to get more retail. It's one of the hottest retail markets around right now. But we also need some office. We also need industrial to be kind of a balanced municipality from a tax perspective, et cetera, et cetera. So 100,000 seems like a lot, and I don't know if we'll get to that, but we're definitely getting to 60, 70, 80,000 thousand,
quick.
right? Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at what Westfield's about to be compared to Fishers and some of these other municipalities, you got to take that. You need to learn. I think Westfield, I'll say we need to take lessons and learn lessons from other municipalities, because Fishers went through an absolute monstrous growth
for 20 years,
and it was all production. And Mayor Fadness is going to have a ton of hurdles to overcome. From he's got a ton of people now. There's housing's getting older and older. You can argue whether that was good housing or not. You got pressure on police, fire, all kinds of things. You're going to have crime increase. So he's got a lot of hurdles to get over. And I feel like our administration, our mayor, our political people need to learn a few lessons from them. They can learn lessons from other people too, but we got to be careful that we don't. I don't want to say make the same mistakes, but I think Mayor.
You're welcome.
Huffy, he had a good point. I'd like to hear your.
All right, well, give me a second.
Huffy, please come back from the bar. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Guys, surprise! I can't hear me.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Well, it's a deficiency. So he was talking about how Fishers had a huge residential growth. Do you remember hearing about that, or
Fishers?
Being even
Sorry.
you know what I mean? There about 10 years ago, I was like, I don't want to be another Fishers, But do you remember? We're gonna have to take a commercial break for Huffy to get his chair every half an inch closer. Are you there?
This just isn't set up well.
You're the one with the padded
I
seat.
feel like we need a beer girl. Like a beer girl, we're just like, hey.
What was it you said the first time, though?
Burger girl. That didn't come out right.
A bearded girl?
Yeah.
Is that what that was?
So bad.
Burger girl.
Huffy, you have a boosted seat.
Yeah, there's some kind of cushion in it.
It's still there.
Is it a short joke or something?
I didn't put it there.
Bad, it's not funny.
It's absolutely funny. Why aren't your feet touching?
I mean, I like them to dangle. I don't know.
That's good.
I was impressed you had a glass bottle of vodka in there.
So someone brought that. Or no, it was on sale.
Okay.
So check this out. So I will buy Svedka in the glass bottle.
Yep.
I'll buy Stoli if I think. So I used to have a tradition. Whenever I had a closing, I'd stop by the liquor store and buy a nice bottle of something. That was how I celebrated.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice for me, and I always felt guilty about it.
That means
And
it was
so-
in glass.
Yes,
Pretty
that was it finally bought something in glass. And so I slipped it into my back pocket and I left. So I still buy plastic booze, right?
Oh, I know.
Someone showed up though the other day with something that was vicious. Brian Metzger we were having a.
Can anyone else hear that cicada?
Yeah. Jeez.
Okay. That wouldn't happen.
I did see that. I know.
Kurt has no idea
Did
what
he
we're talking
bring
about.
plastic bottle over?
Brian Metzger, Mr. Patagonia, best of two of the best of everything. He's making Moscow mules. He shows up with a plastic bottle of Burnett's.
Is he thinking you just pump so much sugar and whatever in there? You're like, whatever.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I still have a headache. That was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But we'll get through it, guys. I'm doing my part.
So, Huffy, when you were gone, we were talking about how Westfield can learn from other people's challenges, mistakes. I'm not saying they're all mistakes, but Westfield had a huge growth, had a huge residential development push. Might not be the best development in the world, but they got a ton of rooftops. They grew to 70. I think they're over 70,000 people now.
Fishers.
Yeah. They have challenges, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And Westfield should learn from that. Westfield can learn from Zionsville. Westfield can learn from Plainfield. There's a lot of municipalities.
Yeah.
Because we've only been a
Avon.
city. Yeah. We've only been a city for, when did Mayor,
9 years or something, 10 years.
has it been that long?
Yeah.
Has it really?
Yeah, we're going on the third cycle.
Mhm.
Third term. And
Again, don't fact check us.
yeah, right. Google that.
No.
So I feel like there's a lot of things we can learn from to make sure, to learn from.
Yeah, 100%. And I think everybody.
And Carmel, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Carmel has set a standard that there's certain things that you want to try and do to be like Carmel, right?
Yeah.
Let's be honest here.
Everyone says we don't want to be like Carmel, but at the end of the day, there's and I don't disagree with that. At the end of the day, we don't want to be like Carmel as a whole. But some of the implementation and
I think it's always said wrong.
Processes
We don't need to be
are
Carmel. We want to be
nice.
successful, though.
Right.
We want success. We want nice.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right. I don't think anyone in Westfield would be disappointed with Carmel's tax base.
No.
You know.
Or their jobs.
Yeah, and then that's the other side of it is every city has its own set of parameters based on the way the land lays, the roads intersected, so on and so forth. So I mean, you're limited to what you can and can't do based on that.
Well, let's be honest. The 31 corridor has put Westfield on the map, and that's what you see the growth, and the sports. Call it tourism, sports, whatever you want to call it. But Grand Park has put us on the map.
Yep.
But in my opinion, the improvement of 31 and how close Westfield is now. I mean, that's why we moved here. That's why a lot of people are moving here. It's a different world.
Yeah. So I mean, it's nothing for somebody to say like probably one of the biggest things we hear a lot is, oh, Grand Park's a burden, right? We hear that all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone's going to have their own opinion on that. Anybody that denies that Grand Park brought economic growth to Westfield is full of it. It absolutely brought economic growth to Westfield.
It's had effect.
And not just Westfield.
The region.
Yeah, the region. You know, Fishers, Noblesville, Carmel. I imagine Sheridan's probably seen an influx in it. So I think as long as stuff's done.
So really, I've always felt like Westfield's boom is because Carmel's out of space, and it's the natural growth of 31 drags that business north.
Right. And then also with 31 being put in, travel time from Westfield to 465 isn't what it was 10 years ago.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, it used to be a 20-minute trip.
What's it for you, Huffy?
3.5 minutes.
What
am I driving?
What was it?
Well, Huffy, do you really go south of?
I mean, anything. My honest opinion, anything south of 146th Street is the ghetto.
But it is. It's scary.
It's scary.
Wow.
Yeah. But we're ready. We're ready though.
Yeah. But yeah.
How do you get to? It's interesting. You spend a large amount of your time 1 month at the fairgrounds, which is like, yes, the ghetto. How do you get yourself
38th and
there?
Hovey, we're not far from the corner there.
How do you get yourself there? Fast?
I mean,
do you actually have it out of your pocket?
yeah, I lay it on the dash so everyone knows I'm not messing around. Don't stop and
Local
ask
boy.
me.
That's a local boy.
Good old
That's
local
a local
boy.
man.
Yeah, I mean it's it can get a little bit scary down there after dark.
Mhm.
Not
Can
gonna
be.
lie.
Oh yeah, it can be. Don't get on the bus. I'll tell you
All
that.
right. Somebody
Made
says,
that
"Hey, run to
mistake
the
twice.
gas station and grab us a drink." Like, I'm good.
Yeah. It's they got the roses with the copper scrubby at the end of the glass pipe.
Yep.
I mean, it's convenient, but you know something's going on.
Good. You stay inside the fairgrounds.
So
I got a question. I want to switch over to downtown Westfield and ask Huffy his opinion, because you get a lot of local people who think that the downtown Westfield is historic. You hear historic,
historical,
yep. and I want to hear your opinion of,
specific.
Growing up, you were 8, 9, 10
Yeah.
years old. What was downtown Westfield to you?
So
And do you feel like that's historic? Do you think that what's the transition, what's going on downtown, is that depressing? That some of those things, and let's be honest, some people don't understand that 32 is coming through, right? And NDOT is going to wipe out everything on the south side of 32.
Yep.
No matter
who wants to
done.
hold them
Yeah,
up.
yeah. It's not Justin Moffitt's fault. It's not the mayor's fault. It's not anything. It's 32 is getting widened. It's coming south. All that stuff's getting wiped out. What's your opinion on that?
Like specific, and I would like to, because that's
Not
a
to
good
steal
question.
your question.
This is a
Kurt.
great question. It's not on. Is it on the paper?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
Wait,
I
you
love
passed out papers?
You got the email. You blocked. Oh wait,
This is improv.
Amber
Huff?
got my email. So, be specific. Like I want to hear your opinion
so
of like
let me
spaces and.
Preface this with
You can talk about the park too in that question.
yeah. So I'll preface this with, if I ever plan on running for political office, I'm gonna step away from this question.
You're not.
Oh my god!
You would lose so fast.
Yeah.
Nobody's voting for you, Huffy.
I would vote for you just to watch it.
Yeah.
Listen,
All
it'd be a
right,
shit
whatever it is. What district are you in over there in
He
Noblesville?
doesn't even know.
show. Yeah, I couldn't even.
Who
tell
would you be?
I'm in Scott Willis's district.
Scott Willis. No,
He-
for council.
For
That's
council.
The next.
Yeah. So whatever.
Who was he before? Who was it before?
Dr. King.
Dr. King. I like Dr. King.
So 2 people I could have beat.
All right, so you're not gonna. You don't get.
That was a punch, Scott.
Hey, listen. Hey, Scott. You know you can punch harder back. You could shoot him from like 800 yards too.
Listen, yeah.
So,
I mean,
so
okay.
go.
listen, if we did that, it'd be a good. It would be.
It would be fun, wouldn't it? You know, it'd be fun to see
human hunting human.
who brought the biggest toy out.
Right.
That's what that would be.
Right. Now he can get a loan for a bigger gun than I can get.
He could bring a ship in.
Right.
I think.
Right. Gunship. Fighter jet.
Like jets coming
Right.
over.
It'd be like Rambo. Anyway.
You'd fight though. You'd put up a fight.
I would.
All right. So no.
We're getting off
Answer
track.
his question.
Yeah.
Downtown, the park.
Downtown, the park, historic. So I think that.
Because everything,
I think-
everything else goes to guns with Hubby.
Yeah, real quick.
So people know.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It should go to guns.
It should. I think that if you grew up here, I think a lot of people might confuse historic with memories, right? Like
right, yeah.
um,
Old experiences.
old experiences, right?
Mhm.
To a lot of people, that's historic, and I don't
It is.
blame them or fault them for that. I mean, it is. To them, it is historic.
There's nothing wrong with that either.
Nothing at all. The reality is we have so many move-ins that there's no memory of Pickett's cafeteria. They don't even know what that is. What are you talking about? They say.
I don't know what you're
But
talking
people,
Right?
but
Like-
people do talk about it like nostalgically. But they've like for instance, when we first moved here, whenever 15 years ago,
Right.
my aunt came and wanted to take Jen to this really fancy restaurant, Pickett's,
Right.
and it was a big deal. And so I think people do, but they remember it, but
It doesn't.
Most
It
people
doesn't
don't.
hold much value anymore.
it doesn't hold any value. Yeah.
Right. So it is. It is definitely. I'm sure there might be some new school Westfield that holds value to it, but it's mainly old school Westfield.
What
that
was
holds
what
value
was
to
it? What was the food at Pickett's?
Where was it?
It's right where Erica's is at. That's like never knew.
And like, what was it between? Was
And
Kelton's
that was
in there at one point?
and that was fancy.
Yeah, it was
I mean, for Westfield.
but it was
yeah,
a buffet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Fancy
It was-
buffet.
it was buffet
So
style.
Cliff bought it, right? Cliff
Yeah.
was the chef there, or whatever, and he
Yeah.
bought it. So what was the food there? What was this experience people had in
MCL cafeteria.
Pickett's? Okay, that's
That's
good.
the best way to describe it.
MCL's good food.
Yeah.
With a tray
I mean, if we didn't go there, we went to Ponderosa. In
in
Castleton.
caramel. Oh, okay. Did they remember they had the desserts on the spinner
Oh,
in
so
the
nasty.
machine in the?
But at the time, it was the only place to go get ice cream, right?
So
So people, go on.
I think that you have a pharmacy, right?
Mhm. But that
It was
wasn't
only-
a pharmacy, was it?
Say that again.
That wasn't a pharmacy, though, was it? Like when you were a kid, or was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought it was- somebody's gonna fact check me on that one, but it was a pharmacy as long as I can remember.
I thought it was a grocery store for some reason.
That might have been my mom's era.
Yeah. Okay.
But there was always a pharmacy there as long as I can remember. I'm racking my brain here.
So when you think of,
my dog's just escaped.
it's okay. Bubba's out there. So when you think of, because you appreciate these people's argument that there's a
I do.
historic factor downtown
I
because
do.
you grew up here and you do understand. And I think we all
And
appreciate
I
it.
think
Yeah,
I think
sure.
it's.
but you appreciate that to what level?
So I think here's what I think. It bothers me when you have the naysayers, right? The people that are just going to complain and gripe about anything, no matter what.
Mhm.
Do they deserve to be heard? Yeah, sure. But I think the people that legitimately are concerned about preserving some of the historic stuff, and they're not just complaining to be complaining. I think they do need to be heard. I think that those concerns need to be brought up. I think you need to be able to see if there is common ground that can be reached. The sad part is the reality is there's probably not much.
So what
probably not much there. So I'm under the implementation that, just like I said before, we're not going to be able to stop change, right? We can guide it the best that we can. Is kind of like my little motto. Like you can't just slam on the brakes. It just doesn't work that way. So the best you can hope to do is steer. And so I think that downtown Westfield doesn't, we'll say countywide, it doesn't have a good place to be the way that it sits right now.
You're right.
You know what I mean? We're not fortunate like Noblesville to have a square.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not that cool.
Yeah.
It's an intersection.
Yeah. It is an intersection. Bunch of old school Westfield people are going to hate me probably for saying that, but I think on the flip side, I feel like I'm a decent mix of, if there's something that we don't have to get rid of, let's not get rid of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's nothing we can do to preserve that building when
It's
NDOT's
gone.
coming through and tearing it down.
When you have NDOT coming through
where Wolfie sits,
gone.
right?
Yeah.
My grandma was a bank manager there at Union City Bank, right? So I grew up in that building, going to see grandma at work and everything else. Stealing a little bit of money.
A little walking around money.
A little bit of money. But
popsicles.
That building's going to be gone.
Yeah.
But from an architectural perspective, there's nothing historic about any of those buildings that's coming out.
In my
personal
opinion,
wiped out.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
People are going to throw up the flag of like, well, Underground Railroad, this and that.
Historically, there's nothing to preserve on those buildings, in my opinion. On the north side, you can have an argument.
Yep.
Right.
And I think there is probably a historic significance, like there's a story that is historical, like the Underground Railroad, but at some point you have to pick a lesser of two evils. So Pat, so Huffy here gets it, and he probably has a lot of friends or relations that are totally against the tearing anything down.
100%.
They want to stay. Like I was sitting there pointing north on Union Street just last night, and I'm sitting there thinking, this is, for 40,000 people, we don't even have an intersection. We don't have a main crossroads from a cool update. For this size of a town, city, you would think we'd have something. Yeah. So we got nothing really from, in my viewpoint, not to be critical, but Huffy here has people that say, you just don't change it. They love that.
And let's be clear. I even think once NDOT comes through and widens 32, we're still not going to have that.
We don't have anything still.
You're still not going to
have a road.
Yeah, you still have just a road.
Yeah. But do you think from a guy that can put stuff that his goal in life is to put stuff together to redevelop areas like that, do you think there's a happy medium, or do you think it's just one of those where you just gotta, it is what it is, you wipe it out, you start over? Or do you think in Westfield's scenario there's something you can actually use?
I'm a firm believer that if there's something historic and cool, then you keep it and you try to make it work. But some of that is not that cool, is not that historic, it's not even like viable to keep it going, to be honest with you. You do a lot of real estate deals up and down those corridors, and you're barely keeping those things alive to make it work, and it's tough.
It's low rent for sure.
Right, yeah. So I'm not a firm believer that we should try and be Carmel and do this what some people would call kind of a fake development downtown.
I found him.
Seriously, the A cups just rubbed against the. Hey, let me put a question out there. If you guys owned Pickett's, the building where Erica's is, let's say you both owned it. All right?
I would never own anything like that.
No, you
I'm
don't
kidding,
own
that's
it.
a joke.
Oh no, you don't own it together. God no.
Well, you said we both owned it. You mean separately? Like
You're-
if he owned
yeah.
it and then I owned
Yeah,
it? what
so
would we do?
you guys own it, all right?
Yep.
Do you feel like it's something let's say, I want to make up a number. Let's say you guys have $300,000 in it because you bought it 10 years ago.
Yep.
It rents for, $3,000 a month, whatever it is. It makes $12 a foot, something like that. So if NDOT wasn't coming through, would you feel a responsibility to keep that property and rent it at a low rent rate? Or would you feel like the opportunity to tear it down and redo the corner and get a higher rent rate would trump that?
If tearing it down and rebuilding was going to cover that cost?
The money on the tear down redone is 3 times. I mean, it's a windfall. There's no comparison on dollar. It's not even close. So it's keep it where it is, historical, preserve it, low rent district. It's tear it down, make a lot of money, and it's just about cash flow.
Yeah.
What do you do with it, Avi?
I mean, I tear it down. I tear it down and put up
You put something in there.
I put something in there that I think
Do
fits well with the downtown. You know what I mean? That's the problem with old buildings. I mean, I've got a house.
She's so much smarter.
I've got a rental house
Uh-huh.
that's 1896, right? It's expensive to revamp old
Yeah.
buildings.
Especially that.
And then what you're left with is just a revamped old building, with no modern amenities or anything else. And so, a lot of the people that complain have no idea what those costs are. And if they did, they'd be like, "Oh, now we see."
And we do have some redevelopment efforts that people have taken old buildings like Park Street and redone them, redid
Let's
them.
not talk
What
about
is it?
Park Street.
Is it
Which
redid?
one?
Well, I'm just.
Park Street Pub? God rest its soul.
That would be where we had the first
It would've
podcast
been.
if it was still here. If we
Could
get
go-
Annie to come,
Could go to roadside.
we get. Not roadside.
Okay.
That's outside the trolling area.
This is true.
So, Pat.
Yeah.
So Huffy's tearing it down. Oh,
I'm
good
tearing
old
it
boy.
down.
Good old boy.
I'm tearing
You
everything
didn't
on
think
the
twice.
south side down there.
You didn't think
No.
twice.
No, the north side, there's a few buildings, the library, the old library,
The bank.
the bank. Some of those buildings should be preserved. I like them. They're historic from an architectural
They're not
perspective.
in disarray.
Yeah, they're not in disarray. So I don't have any problem with what's going on. So I like what's going on downtown. Downtown is going to be something cool eventually. In the park, you didn't talk about the park, Huffy, but the park is a subject in and of itself. How much money we're spending on it, whether that's right, whether it's wrong, whether you should just do it and do it right. But it's causing some controversy. It's also causing some development around it. The city's going to pump $39 million into that park. I don't, whether you believe that that's too much or not enough or whatever.
Let's pause right there.
Oh,
There's a question back to Pat.
Oh.
Responsibly, what do you think that number should be?
now hold on a second.
Is that too direct?
Hold on a second. No, that's not too direct, but that's a huge question. And I
Well, listen,
love
I don't
that.
think-
I love that question. That could be our.
Most of the complaints I hear aren't that there's going to be a park developed. It's how much.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I love that.
And I'm all for, and just to be clear, I'm for the park.
We could have an entire 45-minute discussion about that
absolutely.
park.
Yeah.
And so
it's going to be to be continued.
I think that question, it's
Coming
almost
back
like,
to that.
you know what though? It's almost like we should have a downtown Grand Junction Plaza podcast.
Like a
Who's
like
on
a,
that?
Like
Who's
a,
on that podcast?
Like a kissing booth where everyone comes up for 30 seconds and tells us their
Who's on
opinion.
that podcast?
Well, we'd get the property owners adjacent, right? Your broker. And then we'll I don't know who we get for that. But I think that's a great discussion.
Let's put the cost on the shelf.
Yeah, there we go. Take the cost out.
Just the idea, what it's going to be, what it could be, what it can be for downtown. Do you like it?
Like it.
Yep.
Absolutely, you have to,
Yep.
right?
Like it.
And it's like time for it.
Yeah.
We have some momentum going. Do you guys think it's time for it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's time for a lot of things.
I don't think it's bad at all.
No.
I like it. Obviously, we're doing developments around it. I'm doing developments around it. The restaurants have a huge momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos to the restaurateurs and Bob Beauchamp, right? That has put downtown Westfield, on the map a bit, and we need to continue to see that out. But there's some momentum there that a lot of places don't have, a lot of cities don't have. So kudos to Bob and all that. I like it. I think it's going to continue to grow and continue to evolve.
So why do people, if you take the dollar amount out of it, why do people bash it?
I think.
I mean,
the only people bashing it is about the dollar.
It's the dollar amount.
Yeah, I think
it's a lot of money.
I think there's definitely people that probably bash it just for what it is.
Well, there's a 5% that want nothing to happen.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so we're gonna discredit that for it is what it is. It doesn't matter what we put there; they complain. I think the people that complain about the dollar amount, when you say like, "What's that?" I would say, well, if your vehicle is valued at $10,000, are you going to go and spend $100,000 on it? What are you doing? He's picking his phone up right now.
Really? The Huffy, the comment I made is just because you can afford a $3 million house doesn't mean you build you can build a $2 million house. It's still really nice.
Right.
That was the comment I made. In $2 million park is
right.
Our house is still a nice house, right?
And I guess my issue is the reason that I question that dollar amount is because I haven't heard any good.
How long was that?
It's his final countdown. This is going longer than 45 minutes. It's going longer than 45 minutes.
That's fine.
To shut it off. I think the reason
we can't shut you off though. That's the problem.
You're gonna shut the phone off.
Oh, okay.
So I think the reason that people complain is about that high dollar amount for what the park's going to cost. Is everyone says, well, we need this type of structure, we need this type of amphitheater, right? And I don't necessarily disagree with it, but I think.
Well, I was like, if you're going to do it right. Is like kind of the term I heard it.
Dream big.
Right.
Dream
do
big.
It. If you're going to do it, do it right.
I listen, Kurt knows me well. I'm not one to half-ass something.
No, you
know what I mean?
You like nice stuff.
I like nice stuff.
I'm the cheapest person around, but I don't want, to me, city money's zero. They have all the money in the world. So I mean, truly, like,
I'm not like
this park, for instance.
I think they're broke.
Well,
they're not broke, but that's my point. Like,
but we want them broke. We want them at a zero.
I don't want them spending money on dumb stuff.
Yeah. So to me, like, let's say that costs the dollar. In the end, if they decide to do it, if it gets voted to do it, a city like ours can afford to do whatever because it's a 20-year project or it's a 20-year amortization because it's going to be something for 20 years. You and I, when we do something, we got to immediately have a return. It's got a cash flow. We got to go to somebody borrow the money. A city has different rules to play by, and so I kind of have some flexibility in that. As much as I am told,
agree with that.
I disagrey on the dollar.
But I kind of disagree with that too because I think cities should be ran like businesses and they'd be a whole lot more functional.
But that's not their role.
I think there's some exceptions there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it has to be ran exactly like a business.
But
I think they should have some business mentality in their doings.
Yes.
That's all. Continue.
So, what you guys?
I'm not going there.
I'm getting ready to
All right, so listen. We have made it 44 and a half minutes through our first podcast. I think it's been fun. Have you guys had fun?
Are we done?
I think there's still a lot of
well,
fun.
I think we got 10 more.
No,
minutes.
we're not done. We're not done, but I want to get off
Shut
the park.
that up. He can't even hear it.
Who? Oh.
Exactly. Just so everyone know, Kurt is hearing.
I think we got 10 more. I think they want to hear 10 more minutes.
You went with hearing impaired, not deaf.
Well, I mean, you have one half good ear.
So, I want to go to another topic.
What do you want to go to?
Or I want to play. So, I don't think this should be because I love the debate. I love
I don't really think it's debate.
I love the banter. I love it because it's serious stuff.
You want to talk about specifics?
I want to talk about something fun.
All right.
Because of that.
What do you got? Westfield football.
Well,
What do you want to talk about?
First of all, I want to hear about some. I want to hear if he wanted to move to Carmel or he wanted to move to Westfield when he moved to.
Oh, so no, let's back that up.
Mm-hmm.
So, Pat, where were you living prior to coming to Westfield?
I lived in Fishers.
Okay.
Where'd you live? Where'd you live in Fishers?
116th in Hazeldale.
Okay, so you did live in Fishers.
Yeah.
When you moved to,
When the wife said, "Hey, let's move," how'd that all break down?
what?
So keep in mind, I grew up in Lawrence.
Right.
This is good.
The ghetto.
Well,
The ghetto.
No, I'm just
East
joking.
Side boy.
East Side boy. And so I went to Lawrence Central High School, you know, and when you grow up there, you don't know any different, but that's out there.
You're on the wrestling team, right? Not the basketball team?
Yeah,
Okay.
I went on the basketball team. And so, you know, my family, we all kind of migrated, you know, to Carmel / Westfield / Fishers area, and Westfield just kind of hit it for all of us and love it. Going to be here forever. My kids are going to go to Westfield High School. I'm a public school kid. So I'm really excited about being here and being here for a while.
Did you see the look he gave me?
I'm surprised he heard it.
Yeah. Well, I saw the look.
Don't mind the spring effect in the
Sorry, I'm
background.
messing with stuff.
So the fact that Westfield is the, you know, most growing city in the state, that was just a coincidence. I didn't know that. And with the new business, et cetera, it's hot. You know, there's lots of retail going on. There's lots of housing going on. There's lots of redevelopment going on. And so it's just kind of stuck and love being here and want to be here forever. So
Ain't it nice though, guys? Like working local.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
There's the opportunity that's there to work locally.
Yeah, we're blessed for sure.
We are, and
We're in a bubble.
we are, and we people that run all
I used
over.
to drive 45 minutes downtown to the Circle every day to work.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I can be here now and actually do projects that mean something to our city is pretty proud. I'm pretty proud to say that.
I would say a huge number of the people that I see on a daily basis have based their business around this community, whether it's development or what they're selling. I mean, like, and do you agree?
Yeah, yeah. I
Like
think
the
I think some
opportunity.
people. I mean, obviously, some people's businesses take them farther than the city of Westfield, but they definitely enjoy the amenities of having their business in Westfield.
Yeah, I mean, like all of us we work everywhere,
Oh yeah,
but it's nice to know that a huge opportunity is just a 5-minute drive from our home or a 5-minute drive from our office.
Yep.
Or I mean, that's crazy to me.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's not going away. I mean, we literally could focus on this area for the next 10, 20 years. And
Absolutely.
yeah. Depending what market you're in, for sure.
Mhm.
I'd go broke as a sign guy.
Never trust a sign guy.
That's gonna be all right.
That's not. But honestly though, think of the market share a local sign guy can get, and how much you got constant, transition from old tenant, new tenant. You have new developments.
We do.
You
It's
will,
not. It would take a metropolitan area,
but
like
you will do it.
Indy, Chicago, to keep you floating in that small of a circle.
Well, none of us will pay all of our bills by working in Westfield. But isn't it nice?
No, it is.
Why you got to argue about this, Huffy?
I didn't know I was arguing about it.
Like,
Was I arguing?
I don't know.
He was
I
a
mean,
little-
I feel like I was.
he was.
is it your business in Noblesville though? You could get some
Uh-oh.
Noblesville business.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Well, his house is.
Now there's an argument.
Yeah,
That's not my fault.
That's
that
not
the
your
post
fault.
office
That's
says
that's
that my
greed. That's
Your
federal
house is
greed.
Noblesville?
house.
46062 or something, right?
Yeah. Washington Township.
So, do
but
either of you
Noblesville,
guys
yeah.
live in Westfield?
No,
Because
Pat-
I live in
Carmel.
I live in Westfield. I'm a
Hey,
Westfield guy.
Hey, I'm a property owner in Westfield.
My taxes go to Westfield.
2330.
So you guys get which? Here's how I base it. Which calendar do you get, and which current do you get?
I get both currents.
Oh, I only get current Westfield.
You get the current in Westfield? At over there at your house?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. There must have been a fight. Okay.
You wanted to do like quick fire questions. or
So I
something.
have a question because of this Grand Junction Plaza thing,
Yeah.
and you guys are both smart business dudes. You like to invest in stuff. You're risk takers. I've worked a lot with Bob, right, and the Park Street stuff.
Great dude.
And Bob was never. He's not like a
Should we highlight
It's
Bob
just
real quick?
it's just Bobby B, right? Like,
Bobby B.
You don't even have to say his whole name. It's
Bobby
just,
B.
everybody
Bob
knows
Beauchamp.
Bob.
Yeah,
Solid dude.
solid
Love Bob.
and one of my favorite people, right? And
For people who don't know him, Bob Beauchamp, Beauchamp Antiques,
Michelle.
and Michelle, Bob and Michelle. It's a pair.
It's a pair.
You-
So
you-
so
we're
Bob and
one of
Michelle,
yours.
they are the Park Street restaurant owners.
They're the originals.
They started
They're the
kind of
OGs.
the OGs.
They're the OGs of Park Street.
And if you
They're the
ride
ones-
around with Bob, he owned half of Union Street.
Yeah.
Before it was cool.
But he was the one. He honestly, in my opinion, he was the first one willing to take a huge
He
risk
was.
on Park Street. And look what it's come. You know, I mean, it's finally came full circle.
So, knowing what's happened with like Bob, and Bob was crazy. I mean, obviously he didn't buy anything big. He's not. Let's buy something for $1 million.
Yeah, he
and
didn't go
figure
build
it
a
out.
high rise
No.
or anything crazy.
He was reasonable.
But he didn't do it to try. I mean, it's not like he's making, a huge profit from these. This is for the good of Westfield.
That's
right.
Right, and we need more of that.
So he said, we need someone to start converting stuff. There's an opportunity. Yes, he's doing it for the money. He is not. It's not
pro bono
100%
work,
charity.
right?
No,
Yeah.
but it's a long-term play. If you could go back, knowing what you know, Pat, when did you move? When did you build here in Westfield?
6 years. 6 years.
All right,
ago.
so you've been here, and you've been here forever. If you could
37 years.
Good Lord. Have you even left the county?
Twice.
Twice. Okay. on a dare.
Federal prison.
If you could go back, let's say 5 years, what property, what opportunity would have been awesome to do? Because I have it in my head. I mean, what would you have bought
I
5
missed
years
one.
ago
I
from a
missed
real
one.
estate standpoint?
I did miss one.
All right, let's hear it.
So,
This is public, by the way.
yeah, this is true. When we were growing, when the sign business was growing, we had our business just down the road here, right? And had a bunch of new equipment coming in, needed more space. Worked with Economic Development Group this was actually a backstory to me and Kurt not getting along when we first met.
Fist fight.
Worked with Westfield Economic Development for a year and a half, 18 months probably, trying to find a spot to move my sign shop to.
So Huffy's killing it. He needs a bigger space.
Need a bigger
And
space
he couldn't find it in Westfield
He couldn't.
because of cost and inventory.
and zoning
In zoning, yep.
for what I needed.
How many years ago was this?
It would have
Comprehensive
been
plan.
2011. 2010 would have been when I started the process. 2011 is when
You couldn't find something affordable in 2010.
Well, his problem was they
Dude,
were
that's everything. That's right after everything fell off a cliff.
everything
No,
was
so everything fell off the cliff in 2007, 2008. So it was already on its way back up in Westfield in 2010.
nothing got built either.
And so that was the other problem is ground prices were still high.
Mhm.
No one killed their ground prices. Now, I mean, by today's standards, yeah, it's a deal.
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, back then,
Yeah.
it still wasn't a deal at the time.
And the zoning thing, you had a hard. I think the biggest thing was you were trying to go somewhere that was simple, not easy, but simple to move into and operate.
Right.
And it was very. We have the comprehensive plan did not support, or there weren't vacancies in the area that you could just move into and start up shop.
Right.
It was a difficult task.
Yep.
It wasn't product. Okay.
Yeah. And there was no urgency, and this is no fault of economic development or anything, but there was no urgency to be like, hey, this guy just ordered, $500,000 worth of equipment that's coming in 4 or 5 months. We need to really turn up the volume and try to find him a spot in 3 months.
No.
And not that even should have been their concern either, but nonetheless, it's what pushed me.
You
outside
saw
of
an
West-
opportunity outside of Westfield,
It was too good to pass
Yep.
up.
and you won with it. You did well with it.
Yeah, it did.
Mhm.
With that being said, going all the way back 5 minutes ago to your original question, the piece of ground that I wish I would have bought,
429, by the way.
I don't care. So where McDonald's and Taco Bell is and stuff like that, I had the opportunity to buy that ground. And the wife was like, we should really buy this. And I was scared of I'm always scared of debt, right?
Yeah.
Especially riding the downturn in 2007,
sure.
2008.
Yeah, you
That's-
took a ride.
That scares me. And so,
What do you think you could have bought that for, really?
it was listed at $1.50.
So we're McDonald's.
I probably could have bought it for $1.25
Yeah. But-
125,000.
an acre.
But it
there
was
was
debt
nine-
to
I think
you.
there was
It
9
was
acres there.
It was a big.
Right? So
Yeah.
so my issue was, well, you go and put $1 million,
Yes.
$1 million plus dollars in just land that doesn't even touch the building.
and
I just-
it's a small business guy that could sink you. That's a huge
Yeah.
deal.
And
Yeah.
look, for the benefit of Westfield, thank God I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Yeah,
right? Because
a
there would have been a sign shop.
guy doesn't need to be right there. Yeah,
Right, there would have been a sign shop there.
Could you imagine having Huffy in the way of development?
Signs right there.
Man,
McDonald's is trying
they
to
would have
be.
had to pay royalty for that.
Yeah,
It would have been.
you wouldn't have been there long. Somebody else would have bought you out, right?
Listen,
they
they might have, but they'd have been broke.
Yeah.
And they'd have a gunshot to the.
But nonetheless, I missed an opportunity there.
Okay,
That was a big land
going
deal
back,
that I could have made a bunch of money
that
on.
was probably before 5 years though. That was probably 6 or 7, 8 years.
You're looking at 9 years ago.
So 9 years ago, you had the opportunity to buy where the McDonald's, whatever the
Culver's, Taco
Taco
Bell,
all that is,
Bub's Burgers.
and just because you're a small guy, your business
the
is
debt pushed me away from
signs,
it.
yeah.
Like, it's just the sheer cost pushed me away from it. I just thought it was too risky
And
to
that
put that
today,
kind of capital in that property.
what do you think? What's that worth today?
When did everything get developed there? 3 years ago now?
More than that.
4 years ago? I could have held on to that for 4 years and tripled my money.
You would have made
Probably,
7 or 8 times.
Probably
Yep.
quadrupled my money.
But that's
Maybe
typical though,
quintuple.
right? There's all kinds of opportunities we miss.
There's still
because-
opportunities
yeah.
there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
So Pat,
And that's the
Yeah,
thing. Even with a recession, right? Even with a
Yeah.
major recession, even with a small recession, though, that property value around here is doing nothing but climbing. It may freeze. My personal opinion is we don't see a drop, not a drop, in property. Now
No.
this isn't the crazy inflated. Everyone thinks their ground's worth $1 million an acre. I'm just talking about straight up standard
Mhm.
ground rates. I don't think you're going to see a drop in that
I don't either. And
for a long time.
the only thing that happens though is there's people that have stuff tied up. That if there is a true recession and there's nobody to shop that to, yes, it dies, and those deals go away. And there's people that that just want to sell stuff.
Right, but the reality
But-
is most of those properties that are tied up, it's, in my personal opinion, it's an inflated price.
Yeah.
It's not a realistic price.
And if you go to like in the bad times, like a place like Carmel and Fishers, there still weren't, unless that specific property owner was going down, there still weren't a ton of deals.
Yeah.
Like their value didn't plummet
Right.
completely.
Yeah.
But, all right, so you would have bought that.
Yeah.
You would have retired and become just a full-time hunter.
I wouldn't have retired. I pretty much am a full-time hunter.
Do you put on LinkedIn, like, I'm a hunter, then a sign guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it says hunt, profession, hunting,
Team take 'em.
team take 'em, and then
We got to get that plug in there.
Yeah, we got some. There will be a Team Taken commercial, by the way. I need some video.
We sponsoring this?
absolutely.
They are, yes.
Absolutely not.
You said you'd write a check.
CSI signs,
Swipe
KSI
up.
signs, and Team take 'em.
Listen,
Swipe up.
Sponsoring.
everyone, this podcast has been brought to you by Patch Development and WKR. Thank you.
All right, Pat. You've been driving
So-
up and down
yeah.
Union Street for 6-7 years.
Yeah.
You've been going on Cary Road.
Yeah. So my answer is a little different. I feel like you can still develop and own the prime corners in Westfield.
Yeah.
You might not like the price, but it's still out there.
There's still an
The
opportunity.
southwest corner of 31 and 32 is out there. The southeast corner, 31 and 32, needs to get developed. Union Street, up and down Union Street is still out there. So you might not like the price, but I still feel like it's still out there.
So what's something that you looked, or did you? I know you were focused on other stuff, but did you ever, is there something you looked at and you're like, man, I should have bought that. I looked at that at one point. I should have bought that. Or not.
I mean, real estate's location. And if you can get for the right price, then absolutely. The prices might be higher now, but they're still out there. So, yeah, 10 years ago, would you have pulled the trigger on the fundamentals of 31 and 32, the fundamentals of Union Street and 32? Absolutely.
Right.
But they're still out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of redevelopment still coming. So I feel like if you're looking in Westfield and you're willing to do the price, it's still out there. So and you can't say that in some places.
Yeah,
A lot of stuff's already developed
It is.
Um,
Yeah.
or it's maxed out.
or it's maxed out.
Yeah, like you're never gonna get any more than what it's worth at that
Yeah.
point in time.
And
So-
I'm slowly learning. Like, to me, my background is you buy cheap. You got to steal everything. It's got to be, you make your money when you buy, right? And
Yeah, still, that's fundamentals, right? Yeah.
but there's an
It's the
opportunity.
goal.
It's an opportunity, though, just the location itself.
Yeah, I think Westfield is more. I think there's fewer deals in Westfield than there have ever been.
Uh-huh.
So
Deals.
you're buying now for what it's going to be in 10. Just like I said, that property where McDonald's and Taco Bell and everything is 9 years ago was crazy expensive at the time.
Mhm.
But I mean,
It seems silly.
you
yeah.
push 4 or 5 years down the road, and so you're making your money on not the, oh, I got a good deal, I could turn around and sell it in 2 years for X. It's, hey, we bought this at top of market. Now we got to sit on it for 4 or 5 years, or put something in it that generates money immediately, and then our equity is built over a 5-10 year time span. That's my opinion, but I'm not a developer either. I mean, shit, we're asking the wrong guy. This is
Yeah,
Pat's
but
wheelhouse.
you know, here's the problem with Pat.
I'm not gonna say too much.
Here's one of the problems with
He's
Pat.
gonna give all his secrets
So
away.
he's got
Give us
it.
the keys of the castle, Pat.
He's got a little stake in the ground at like Ditch and 146, up to, he went up. What's a road that goes up to like Sheridan to 38 straight north, over, back down around, and he just wants to mow it all down and start over, right? and put breakfast places
We're gonna
and
get rid
donut
of-
shops.
I like new stuff.
Yeah,
We're gonna,
I
like
we're gonna
new
get rid of
stuff.
Chatham.
Chatham's gone.
Chatham's
It's
gone.
gonna
Sorry,
be a donut
Steve.
shop.
I'm all in in Chatham.
Well,
you
you
want
want the
the
guy at the
gates.
front,
Nah, I
right?
mean, yeah, right.
It's
You talk about
Golden
Westfield in
Gate.
general.
Yeah.
Some of these guys have done a nice job. Steve Hankey has helped.
Awesome.
Bob Beauchamp has helped. There's certain guys that have advanced Westfield to get to where it is.
Dan Moyer.
Dan
Danny
Moyer,
Moyer.
Bert Dalton to a certain extent, are advancing our community to the next level.
And like
we need
Greenwald.
And I'm fine. Listen, I'm fine with all the developers,
Mm-hmm.
as long as no one tries to screw anybody over.
Yep.
At the end of the day,
It should be good business.
be decent to the landowners you're buying from. Be honest. Be real. Don't try to pull the wool over anybody's eyes, and I'm fine with you. You do the opposite of that, and I have no place for you. You can shove it.
All right, so on that
local boy.
local boy, good old local
There you
boy.
go.
All right, so I think this was fun.
Yeah.
We're over an hour,
I
guys.
think we're
We're
done.
losing people. We
Losing-
lost.
We done lost.
Yeah, the dogs are asleep. I think there's a cat asleep right
Yeah.
now. But this is cool. I love this. I love the conversation. I actually think this group right here could have a really good, more like detailed conversation about something specific, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, but our first podcast, we got it out there. We want to do more of this.
Yeah.
Westfield.
Thanks, Kurt.
What's
Thanks
our
for having
schedule,
us on.
Kurt?
So I want to do this bi-weekly. This is on iTunes. This is on all the cool places you can download a
Is
podcast.
it video? Is video someplace?
We have video going for the ladies.
Hey, ladies.
So for all you stay-at-home moms looking for a little entertainment,
Looking for 3 married dudes.
yeah, nobody young and hot, but no. So we got video. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on our websites, all our social. But we want input. We want to hear about what you think about this. If you think it stunk, that's fine. We're just normal dudes. We got pretty thick skin in this group. If you think there's a topic you'd like to talk about, if you think we need to get the little things that make it so that we could touch the table.
So we don't do this?
But no, I think it was fun.
Yeah.
So I appreciate
Thanks,
you guys
Kurt.
coming.
Good job, Kurt. did a
Thank you
good
very
job.
much. And hope we'll do a lot more of these in the future, right?
Probably not. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
Not with
we'll
you,
do-
old boy.
We'll do more.
Hey,
You're not
we're-
going to figure out sound because you can't hear.
I'm going to figure out visuals. I got
Yeah, local boys throwing out some heat.
He got mad tonight, didn't
Yeah,
he? All right, so typical Huffy. He's mad when we leave.
Yep.
Every dinner I've had with him, he's mad when he leaves.
Doesn't like any restaurant ever.
Hates them all.
That's not true. I love the Rail. I love Chiba.
No, you're mad at
I
something,
love
though.
Italian House. I love Wolfie's.
So Huffy's mad, but he's still always fun. Pat's not mad at all. He's sometimes fun. Me, I'm just in the middle. So come back. We're gonna do a lot more of these.
What's
so
up, Westfield?
What's up, Westfield? See ya.
Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow. What's Up Westfield?